Coming up on Mountain News this morning, recent cuts to the United States Department of Agriculture might leave big impacts on small farms. And officials want to remind you of hiking safety as more folks head out to the gorge in the warmer months.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this Monday, March 24th, and the time is now 6:30, which means it is time to check on in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall this morning. And Megan, we've been talking about trees, flowers, especially those in Washington, D.C., but we have kind of a similar, it's not the cherry blossom, but a similar looking tree near WYMT, correct?
We do. It's a beautiful tree in our back lot. I believe it's like a Bradford pear. Something like that. And yeah, it's a gorgeous tree. I don't think it's native to here, but it's stunning. Might take a picture of it later today, kind of bringing us into that spring spirit. And speaking of spring, we do have some seasonal temperatures. Right now, we're not looking too bad in the 40s. Normally, we're sitting in the low 40s, but you can kind of see that colder weather is going to come into our region as we're going through the next couple of hours, because we did see 70s yesterday, but today's high temperatures are only in the low to mid 60s. Not too bad considering for our seasonal averages, we're in the low 60s. Now, we did have some rain this morning, which is another spring-like sign, right? Rain will bring those flowers and I guess make the tree bloom as well. And as we continue to go through the next couple of hours, that will clear out. We're looking at mostly sunny skies for the afternoon with some clouds continuing into our region as we head into the evening hours. Here's a breakdown of what you can expect throughout the day. High temperatures will happen around 4 p.m. Amelia.
Thank you, Megan. Well, hundreds of people gathered at the Kentucky Theater for a town hall discussion aimed at restoring democracy. Gathering for Democracy planned and hosted Saturday's event. They invited Representative Andy Barr in hopes he would discuss cuts to Medicaid, federal firings, and other concerns about moves by the Trump administration.
And when people share their personal experiences, as all these people are doing, it's different than just asking a question or saying, here's some facts, or I'm upset about this. So we're trying to provide the human touch.
Barr did not attend Saturday's event. Instead, an empty chair sat on the stage. He will host a telephone town hall this evening from 7:30 till 9. People can join through his official Facebook page. CBS reports the U.S. Department of Agriculture has canceled $1 billion in funding for schools and food banks to buy goods from local suppliers. These cuts can create higher costs for the fresh meat, dairy, and produce from local farmers, possibly hurting farms in the process. Alyssa Williams checked in with a local farm to see how they're navigating this change.
Food is political, so and farmers are one of the first people that are being affected.
For those in the local farming industry like Allie Vallandingham, community support and partnerships are what keeps the lights on. But recent cuts are now putting things in jeopardy for her Bourbon County farm.
The cuts that are happening are drastic for a small farmer, and so I do believe that it would be enough to put somebody under.
The USDA is cutting two programs, the Local Food for Schools program and the Local Food Purchase Assistance Cooperative Agreement. These provide around $1 billion to schools and food banks across the nation to purchase fresh meat, dairy, and produce from local farms like Vallandingham's. It's a decision stemming from the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency.
We were able to add positions here on the farm due to these programs, and so now we might have to look into, cutting a few employees since we won't have that set market that we know we'll be able to sell to.
Vallandingham says without the funding, schools and food banks may be left to purchase from wholesalers, leaving local farmers in the dust.
This program really allowed students and families who needed a little extra help to get local produce. All of it right from a farmer that they might even know.
However, she says there are ways that folks can help local farmers right now.
Talk to your local farmers and see how you can support them in these challenging times. The economy is rough on everybody, and so supporting one another is the best way to help.
In Bourbon County, Alyssa Williams, WKYT.
The Associated Press says the USDA shared these programs were a legacy of the pandemic and no longer supported the agency's priorities. In a statement to the outlet, a spokesperson with the USDA says, quote, "The COVID era is over. USDA's approach to nutrition programs will reflect that reality moving forward." President Donald Trump said his administration won't touch Medicaid, but that it will look for waste, fraud, and abuse. The reconciliation bill recently passed by the House of Representatives instructs the Energy and Commerce Committee, which oversees programs like Medicaid and Medicare, to cut more than $800 billion in spending. Kentucky Congressman Morgan McGarvey says 1 in 3 Kentuckians rely on Medicaid.
We're talking about kids with cancer. We're talking about veterans who are contemplating suicide. We are talking about seniors. We're talking about working single moms who are just trying to get health care for their kids. These cuts, the way they've been proposed, are so severe that it puts all of that at risk.
McGarvey says there isn't more than $800 billion worth of fraud available to do away with. Across the river from Louisville, folks from Jeffersonville, Indiana, protested potential reforms to the United States Postal Service. The Department of Government Efficiency has suggested privatizing the Postal Service to compete with shipping giants like Amazon, UPS, and FedEx. Workers fear a universal service obligation would no longer be mandatory, meaning it has to deliver mail everywhere, regardless of distance or profitability. A major insurance provider will not be working with UK healthcare soon. Cigna will become an out-of-network provider starting this May. UK says the two sides were unable to agree on a new contract. About 4,500 patients with Cigna will be affected. If you're one of them, you should contact Cigna to learn about your options. A former pastor was found guilty of sexually abusing a child. 60-year-old Samuel McKinney was found guilty of rape last Wednesday. The victim claimed he abused her in the 80s. She came forward in 2023 when she learned he was working as a pastor in Irvine. McKinney is no longer working there. The Attorney General's office says the jury's recommended a 20-year sentence. McKinney will be sentenced on June 3rd. A federal fugitive was arrested over the weekend in Whitley County for evading federal parole. Corbin police arrested Christopher Lee Jones alongside U.S. Marshals and other departments. Jones was found in Whitley County and tried fleeing from officers through a crawl space in the ground. He eventually surrendered. Officials also found 3 children living in poor conditions. According to Corbin police, they were Michaela Sullivan's children. That's Jones's girlfriend. She was arrested for abuse and drug trafficking. In Whitley County, a grand jury indicted 3 people after a drug investigation. Williamsburg police say 3 people are accused of distributing meth around the county. They all face drug trafficking charges. They're each being held in the Whitley County Detention Center on a $25,000 bond. As the weather continues to get warmer, the deeper we get into spring, more people are getting outdoors and hiking in wooded areas like the Red River Gorge. Wolf County Search and Rescue say that surge of visitors also comes with an increase in rescues. Carly Hogston shows us how you can stay safe on the trails.
It's the time of year that the trails of Red River Gorge are becoming more packed. Before you go, Chief of Wolf County Search and Rescue John May says researching the trail length and prepping with basic essentials like food and proper footwear could save your life.
Do a little homework before you come here, and then once you get here, get out and enjoy yourself, go at a reasonable pace, stay hydrated. We also recommend that people inform someone else, like where you're going.
He says if you're planning to hike on a mile loop, taking all of these actions is essential. But the most important, keeping on marked trails to prevent falling from high cliffs.
Cliff lines never jump out and kill someone. It's typically people getting too close to a cliff line that can lead to, some really bad outcomes.
Now, the Wolf County Search and Rescue team say that it's not just the hikers that need to be prepared. It's also the people performing the rescues. So that's why they're training new volunteers hands-on.
I think by giving these guys a heads up in training, it shows them what to kind of expect in the event an actual rescue comes in.
Their team has been working all weekend through a basic search and rescue class to learn everything from navigational skills to the conditions of the gorge in order to be prepared. Trainer Billy Williams says the training comes in handy this time of year, and already this season they have performed 8 rescues.
We actually had one just earlier this week where a lady slid down a slope and we had to do a low angle rope rescue to get her out.
And they say if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, where you are lost or in danger, even without cell service, you can call 911. In Wolfe County, Carly Hogston, WKYT.
Well, you can't have the Kentucky Derby without the Milliners, and Sunday their hard work took center stage. The Kentucky Derby Museum held its hat fashion show featuring dozens of designs from 5 milliners. Many say it's an opportunity for them to connect with others and get a sense of what people will be wearing to the track.
I do see the classic boater style being very popular this year, so I've done several variations of those. It's a very tailored, very classic look.
The milliners will have the chance to sell their hats at the Derby Museum store. The 151st Kentucky Derby will run on May 3rd.
And we are still watching the remainder of this rain as it pushes through the region, really just focusing on our Virginia counties as of right now. By the time we get to 8 o'clock, we should be nice and clear from the rain, looking some clouds throughout the day, but that'll be all. Here's a look at those current temperatures this morning, though, mainly sitting in the 40s, seeing 50s as you're traveling more towards Tennessee and as you're traveling towards Jonesville as well. 51 degrees for Middlesboro and Harlan. Afternoon high temperatures, though, not looking too bad, low to mid 60s, with the exception of Wise, which will be getting up to 57 degrees. Here's what you need to know as you're heading off to the bus stop this morning. 47 is what you can expect on the way to school, with some places potentially seeing a little sprinkle of some rain. By the time you're heading home, you should expect nice and sunny skies. Temperatures will be about 62 degrees. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning at 6:41. Still to come, Pope Francis is out of the hospital, but not out of the woods, as officials expect a lengthy recovery after a near-fatal illness.